Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Breaking news coming in from the south border of the part of Mexico in Tapachula, Chiapas. As the migration continues, the mass migration continues through the south border of Mexico. As the mass irregular migration, illicit migration, illegal migration, however you want to call it, continues in the south border of Mexico in the way to the United States of America. This is breaking information. Um, Four individuals were stopped by, Jordan. The four migrants that they're trying to catch a flight from the south border of Tapachula all the way to Sonora. Sonora, it is the border that connects to Arizona. And these individuals from Jordan and Egypt were stopped as they were trying to board a plane, smuggled themselves, and go and on their way illicitly and illegally into the state of Sonora. The state of Sonora, it is a state that is connected to the state of Arizona. Share the video, like the video, share the video, like the video. Let me go to the article. This is the article that it was just released in the governmental page of the Institute National of Immigration. It was a communicated statement that it was released yesterday late in the afternoon. It says the Institute National of Immigration has detected in Chiapas, that is the south border state, which I have walked caravans and documented caravans in Tapachula, a private flight. Listen to this. A private flight. You're not talking about that these people were about to take just a normal flight. It is just, not that they were going to take just a commercial flight. These individuals from Jordan and Egypt had the economy, had the infrastructure, had the money to pay a charter flight. So it says right here, the Institute National Immigration of Mexico in the state of Chiapas detected a private flight who it was intending to move and transport foreigners in conditions of irregular migration from Jordan and from Egypt. This is the charter flight. It is a private flight. It is a private plane that practically was rented by these individuals who they were intending to move all the way to the United States borders, all the way to Sonora, practically land in Sonora in the airport of Hermosillo or Ciudad Obregón, and from there be moved into the borders of the United States of America, cross the border, claim asylum and refugee, enter into the United States of America, and as they were entering the United States of America, be released. This charter flight was going to be, it was going to leave the part of Tapachula, Chiapas, land in Sonora. Potentially, they're talking about two airports, one in Hermosillo, the other one a private airport in Ciudad Obregón. And from there, be moved across the border of Arizona, which the border of Arizona, for everybody that is watching, has been the most influx by people from the Middle East and potential sex offenders. This border of Arizona, Ajo, Arizona, Lukeville, Arizona, Yuma, Arizona, all these places, everybody talks about the Texas border and what is happening in California. California is a border that has been influxed massively in the past months by migrants from China, this and that, and also. But when it comes to violent, when it comes to infiltrated, when it comes to migrants that they are trying to basically infiltrate the border with intentions of coming in with really bad intentions, Arizona has been the one that has discovered more potential terrorists, more potential individuals that they are in a watch list, sex offenders, convicted individuals that they have crossed the border 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And now you have this flight that it was going to departure from the south border of Tapachula, where I have documented more than 11 caravans. The border is wide open in the south border of Mexico. with Guatemala. A lot of people say, why does not Mexico close their borders? Mexico is part of the global compact of migration. Now, I want to give thumbs up to the authorities of Mexico. Everybody complains that why Mexico is not doing anything. The Institute National of Immigration has stopped these individuals from Jordan and from Egypt paying a charter flight, a private flight that it was intended to go to Sonora and from there to be smuggled across into the United States of America. Not the flight, the people. They land in Sonora. Sonora is the border that is connected to Arizona. And after they were going to land in Sonora, they were going to be awaiting for the smugglers to take them across, lift the hands of asylum, and then be released into the United States. The statement of the governmental page of the Institute National Immigration says, the communicated statement is number 86/24. It was released late at night of the 11th of September yesterday. And it says right here on the bottom, it says they were pretending, this is the charter flight, for God's sake. Now you have, and before I read, what the hell is going on? Now you have migrants, quote unquote migrants, that they're paying charter flights to get charter flights. I don't know how these people from Jordan and Egypt got all the way from Jordan and Egypt all the way to the south border of Mexico. Possibly also they pay charter flights. If they have the money to pay a charter private flight into from the south border of Tapachula into the Arizona border, you have to be kidding me. These people have money, have the potential money. Now, I'm going to Google how much a charter flight it is cost from the south border of Chiapas into the south border of the United States of America. Before I do that, let me read the article. It says they were pretending to get a taxi and go into the Tapachula airport in the route to Sonora. They're talking about 6 men. 4 of them are from Egypt and 2 of them are from Jordan. I just recently was in Jordan. Just recently, I was in Jordan around, I don't know how, 7, 8 days ago. I just talked to my mentor, Chuck Holton. He's in Abu Dhabi right now. He's about to go to Armenia. And we were talking about this. We were talking about that there's going to be a potential mass migration by Palestinians that they're in Jordan, that we talked a lot about them. We talked to a lot of them that they want to leave again Jordan and go to somewhere else because the economy is not sustainable. So the statement says 6 men, adults, 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan. And it says right here on the bottom, the article goes, it says, through the actions of migration verification, the Institute National Immigration of Mexico has detected 6 foreigners that they were pretending to board a private plane and the mobility of a taxi to the airport in Tapachula, Chiapas, on the route to Sonora. When they were expecting their documents of their trip, the immigration agents identified 6 men of adults, 6 military age adults, which it says 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan. None of them had credentials to be regularly staying in Mexico, which by then they were transported to the migration station of Siglo XXI, 21st century, which I have been there also documenting for you guys from 2019 till now. So they can do their procedure, their migration procedure. The operation of the agents had they detected that they were going to go to these airplane to this private charter, and on the tripulation of this charter flight, it had their names. So the Institute National Immigration has detained them, give them the protection that they need, because they entered illegally, but under the globalist compact of immigration, you have to protect them because you don't know why they are migrating, quote unquote, on this way. And they need to be on this controlled process of immigration paperwork in the south border. It is a charter flight. It is a private flight. Wow. This is not a caravan. This is not people walking from kilometers and kilometers, which I have done. These are not people walking through the Darien Gap, which I have walked 4 times. These are not people walking through Central America, which I have done multiple times. These are not people crossing on a water raft from Guatemala to Mexico, paying the cartel and possibly risking their lives and see if they're going to live or not. No, these are 6 individuals who had the economy and the money to pay a private flight, to arrange a private flight in the south border of Tapachula, enter Mexico, paid a private taxi. Private taxi got stopped. They got investigated. And the investigation led for them to just basically say, we were going to board a plane, a private plane, from the south border of Tapachula into the state of Sonora. The state of Sonora, again, it is the state that is connected to Arizona. Arizona has been one of the states that has been influxed massively by people from the Middle East and infiltrated individuals who were just consistently get stopped, sex offenders, convicted felons, and all of this. Wow. You know, the most amazing thing for me is, and the most incredible thing for me, for everybody in the United States of America, for all of you, for all you Americans that you're watching, for all United States citizens, under the Global Compact on Migration in the United Nations, you're the one that is paying for this. Nobody else. The number one country who is giving money more to the United Nations, to OIM, to the UNHCR, it is you. Nobody else. The number one country who is incentivizing these kind of individuals to come. Now, this is not a migrant. I'm sorry for all you the people that they're pro-migrant. I'm a pro-migrant myself. I believe migration is a human right, but in those human rights, you have laws and you have processes, and you need to obey those laws. But this is not a migrant who is coming politically persecuted. This is not a migrant. These 6 individuals, adults, these are not migrants who are coming, suffering the consequences of an economy. These are not migrants who are coming persecuted by a gang. These are not migrants who are coming because of a natural disaster. These are not migrants who are coming because of climate change. These are not adults, migrants, who are coming because they do not have another country to go. These are not migrants who are coming because they want a better economy and they want a better opportunity for a life, a job. If you have money to pay for a charter flight, man, to pay for a private flight from the south border of Tapachula into the northern borders of Mexico, Sonora, that is the south border of Arizona, If you have money to pay a charter flight, believe me, with that money of that charter flight, any migrant from Central and South America can start a small business selling whatever, hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever. If you have money to pay for a charter flight. Now, I want to just, it's a private plane. It possibly was an arrangement underneath the table of privately, arranged, possibly with a cartel, possibly with an NGO, possibly, the it was an arrangement. Now, the investigation needs to go more further. Who's the owner of this private plane? Who's the owner of this charter flight? Who authorized this charter flight to leave the airport? Who authorized this plane to be on site and to just take these 6 individuals that they were irregularly staying in Mexico, that they did not have no documents, but they have the economy and the influx to pay this charter flight and private flight to get them from south to the north? Who was the pilot? It's a massive investigation. It is not just detaining these 6 people. It's finding the chain of command and where this chain of command that is coming from. Because this, believe me, people, and I'm assuring, and I'm 100% sure, this is not the first time that possibly this has happened. It is exactly like when we documented the Tren de Aragua gang coming in 2021 in a caravan. Oscar Blue and team was the first one to inform to the American audience. Then the Gateway Pundit took away our news and spread it all over the United States of America, which we appreciate. We announced on a caravan, Tren de Aragua individuals are coming infiltrated on caravans. And we said on a live broadcast on the War Room, on Real America's Voice News, we said to everybody, this is not the first time that these people are coming. This has been happening for quite some time now. Now, I will love to, to basically be right and say this is the first time that this possibly has happened. But since the borders are open, and since everybody is being let in without no restriction, no regulation, no filter, no vetting, this is not the first time. And not only that, if the plane is leaving, who's authorizing this plane to leave? And if the plane is landing, who's authorizing this plane to land? And when it lands, who is going to pick them up? And when they get picked up, where are they going to be taken over? Who was going to be taking them to the border? And when they were going to be taking them to the border, which part of the border we're going to be taking them to? And if there's an NGO on the other side of the border, who was going to wait for them to pick them up and then later on process them? And then after that, who is this NGO that is going to be processing them, releasing them into population? And then after that, to being released into population, where are they going to go? And after where they know, where where they are going to go, what are their intentions to go to this place, to that place, and this place? And after that, you will find who paid for it. Because this people right here, this right here that you see on screen, 6 individuals, 6, 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan. If I'm not mistaken, let me just, I don't want to get it backwards. Let me just get it correct. Yes, 4 nationals from Egypt and 2 of them from Jordan, 6 of them from the Middle East. And this is not Islamophobia. This is not Muslim phobia. It is what it is. It is the reality. Why you are paying a charter flight to get yourself from the south border of Mexico into the north border of Mexico on the south border of the United States of America. It is a charter flight. It is a private plane. It's a private plane. Private plane. Now, somebody's saying, whose job is it, Mexico, to track planes? They stop them. If you're complaining that Mexico is not doing anything, they just stop them. But you have to understand this is a problem between both countries. This will not be happening if the current administration of the United States of America will not have an open border policy and will not be accepting under the global compact on migration through non-ports of entry. And if they would have a secure border, this will not be existing. Could exist, but you will have a secure border and you will have people being stopped, vetted, investigated. It's it's unbelievable. Let's see what happens after. I have been in this place, uh the migration station Siglo XXI. I have been there quite some times, quite many times. Quite many times I've been there documenting, the irregular activity inside of this immigration station, which is considered by the defenders of human rights, it is considered like the prison for migrants. That's how they say it. That's how they categorize it. So, knowing that factor, I don't know how much time they're going to stay there. If they have the money and the infrastructure to pay to get out, which they have, of obviously they have the money to pay a private plane. So obviously they have the money to pay somebody off. Hopefully, I'm speaking out of what I currently have lived all my life. So some of the authorities are extremely corrupt. You have agents that they're trying to do the best that they can. You see these agents that they just stopped 6 individuals, which they did an incredible job. The Institute of National Immigration stopped 6 individuals who they were trying to smuggle themselves from Mexico into the northern borders on a private plane. But this goes more further than this. What is going to happen with these people from now on? How they're going to move? If they're going to be deported, return back to Egypt, return back to Jordan? It's just it's so confusing. But at the same time, it's easy for us to process this, because if you enter the country illicitly and illegally, and then after that, you need to be returned back because you entered the country illicitly and illegally. But under now the global compact on migration, you enter the country illicitly and illegally, and that does not exist. That under the compact, it is your human right because you are searching for asylum. But how can you call this? What kind of asylum is this? If you have 6 adult men on the south border of Mexico paying a private plane to basically enter the border of the south border of Mexico, and from there move themselves into Sonora, that is a border state with Arizona, and possibly most accurately cross into the United States, be released, and now you have 6 adult men, 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan, with the economy to pay a private plane, with the economy to enter the country, possibly with the economy that a lot of you Americans do not have in the United States of America, possibly with the economy to just be released. And if they have money to pay a private plane, I'm just speculating that they possibly have a place to stay now already. They have a job, or they don't even have a job. They already have a business. I'm just speculating, but isn't it unbelievable? Isn't it unbelievable until what point now this has become that you have private planes being paid by these individuals to move themselves into the north borders of Mexico, south borders of the United States? I have seen the migration in the worst way. In the worst way. Before I move on, buy me a coffee. It is right there. If people want to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund, is right there. I will absolutely appreciate. Thank you. I've seen the migration in the worst way. Abused, rape, death, uh, jungle, mudslides, rivers, uh, smuggling. The most horrible way I have seen it. I have seen it. Walk with it. Document it. This I have not. I will love to experience what it is migrating under the asylum and refugee on a first class world ticket. I will love to see it because I have walked 4 days inside of a jungle, suffering, putting my life in danger, getting sick with dengue, getting sick with fever, um, completely, my feet destroyed, carrying children, getting in and out of the water because they were drowning, fighting with the authorities of Panama, fighting with the cartel inside of the jungle, being threatened in the borders of Mexico with the United States by coyotes. Almost they took away my life in Guatemala. I have walked in caravans walking with Tren de Aragua gang individuals. I have seen all kind of migration in the continent of America. Now, I would love to be part of this. If this is a possibility, man, if we can document how an individual has the economy to pay a private plane, well, I would love to document how does it feel, to just arrive, pay, I don't know who they're paying, but be on the plane with them and be like, how do you feel? How does it feel to just, to arrive to Mexico and now in less than 2 hours, because you're in a private plane, you will be in the borders with the United States of America. How does it feel? Do you feel tired? Oh yeah, possibly they're gonna say, oh, there was a struggle, it was really bad. It's isn't it, even in these kind of circumstances, this is why the global compact on migration is a complete disaster. I have said it for so many years. Everybody needs to get out of it because it just NGOs and the cartel is profiting out of it. It is not even a humanitarian issue to help. It is completely the opposite. Everybody's profiting out of it. But I will love to know, how does it feel to be migrated on a private plane and asking for asylum and refugee because you're suffering supposedly the consequences of economy, the consequences of political persecution, the consequences of a job, the consequences of everything. It's unbelievable. We don't know who these 6 men are, but you got to be kidding me. If you're praying a private plane, get out of here, man. Really get out of here. What kind of migration is that? And I have said this multiple times. Multiple times. I have said this. Thank you so much, Cat White. Thank you so much. Says I already talked to admins. No rush. Want to talk about sponsorship? Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will answer I will answer my messages. Thank you so much. God bless you. I want to say something. Even and I have said this multiple times. Multiple times I have said this with multiple evidence. I have said that even the migration through the Darien Gap has social class. Why? Because you have the route that is really dangerous and people are dying. You have the middle route, which people have a little bit of economy, so they will not suffer. So you got the 2 to 3 day trip. And then you got the high road. That is where the Chinese, the Afghans, they migrate and they pay $10,000 to $15,000 to migrate. And ultimately, that migration intends to let you know that there's a social class. In caravans, also you have social classes. You got the guy that walks, the guy that walks to an inspection point, crosses that inspection point, and somebody's already awaiting for him, a taxi, a private taxi. So that will take him into another border and so on and so on. Then you have the high class, migrant who already corruptibly paid somebody to move through airports and all this kind of stuff. Then you have the first class, business class. That is this. You have a private plane with 4 men from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan, migrating on a private plane, arriving into the south border of Mexico in a private taxi. They were stopped. Possibly a whistleblower from the hotel that they were staying. They were like, hey, you know what? This is what's going on. And let me tell you different scenarios of this. I will tell you different scenarios. These 6 individuals, and I will be blunt to say this, all right? Because I know scenarios about this. Let me be blunt and let me have my own theory of which I can believe and which I cannot. There has been several incidents where migrants arrive to the border and they don't want to pay the cartel. They want to do it on their own because of arrogance, 1, because they don't have the money, 2, and because they're afraid, 3. This right here is not because they don't have the money and because they're afraid. This is because of arrogance. This right here, these 6 men. Possibly they arrived to Mexico. They paid somebody to cross them through Guatemala to Mexico. In Mexico, to protect themselves from saying, I don't want to pay nobody, I can do it on my own. Let's contact somebody else that they can get us a private plane. And let's just, pay the private plane from the south border of Tapachula into the north borders of Mexico. From there, we have our contact that is going to smuggle us into the United States. We don't need we don't need the middleman. We don't need them. It's going to take away our money. Why? Let's just do it on our own. So possibly they stayed on a hotel. When they stayed on the hotel, you don't know who works with who and who and who. This who and who and who possibly called somebody and they said, hey, they're on their way. Watch out. They're moving. This possibly person that called somebody, called the authorities and said, hey, you got 6 men. What the hell? 6 men? They never told us anything that they were arriving. Because you have the corrupt institution and then you have the good guys. And sadly, the organized crime and the cartel in our country of Mexico has more power than the good guys. And the good guys, they're trying to do their job, but immediately the bad guys threatening their families and threatening their jobs. So it's really hard for the good guys to exercise their job. But apparently the good guys today, they took the initiative to say, who are these 6 guys? Where are they going? They never told us anything about it. We need to stop them. Whistleblower called the shot, got stopped by the authorities, and they did not leave. I believe that was one of the scenarios. One of the scenarios. The other one is, you never know. Possibly the cartel sold them out. They just, promised them something that it was going to happen and they never happened and they took away their money. That happens a lot. It's called extortion. It happens a lot. And the third option is they just got caught. Just like that. They got caught red-handed trying to smuggle themselves through the authorities, trying to, smuggled into countries, paying, here and there, the Santa's little helper over here, Santa's little helper over there. And they thought that they could get away with it. And they got stopped by good officials of the Institute of National Immigration of Mexico. And under the investigation, they had a private plane for them to wait. a private plane from a private plane in the south border waiting for them to board this private plane rented by them so they can fly from here into the north border of Mexico, Sonora, land in I don't know where. There you got several private airports, but the most accurate ones are Hermosillo and Ciudad Obregón. That Hermosillo is the one that a lot of these people land. And Hermosillo is easily to connect to It's kind of like in the middle. So it will lead you to the east side of where Lookville is at, where Ajo is at, where all these places are at. And also you can go to Yuma on the left. So it can lead to both sides, you know? Isn't it amazing? Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable, man. So let me just read the article again, lastly, for us to just recap for people that are watching. Breaking news: 6 men, 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan, got stopped in the south border of Mexico. The Institute of National Immigration has detected in Chiapas, the south border state, a private flight who was intending to transport foreign people in irregular condition. All these foreign people were originated, their origin is from Jordan and Egypt. One of the points says they were pretending to board a taxi, that it will take them from the airport to Tapachula, Chiapas. And that taxi was going to basically take them to this private flight, that this private flight had the intentions to land in the state of Sonora, that is the state that is connected in Mexico to Arizona, United States of America. These are 6 adult men, 4 of them nationals from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan. The statement is that through the actions of immigration verification, the Institute of National Immigration of Mexico has detected 6 people, foreigners, that were trying to board a plane, a private plane, in mobility, in mobility, that got caught through the taxi that they were taking them to the airport. This private plane was in direction already paid to land in Sonora. When they were inspecting their documents on their trip, and the immigration agents detected that all 6 of them, 4 of them from Egypt, 2 of them from Jordan, they did not have the credentials to be regularly staying in Mexico. Knowing that factor, they got transported and moved to the migrant station of Siglo XXI in Tapachula, Chiapas. Breaking for everybody. Now, this lastly, I will add this as a plus. This happened when I was in Israel. And I'm just saying, how many of these have already arrived into the United States of America? And this is the article that I wanted to put on. And I talked about this already. This happened like around 2 weeks ago, I believe so, that a Palestinian that it was in a terrorist watch list got stopped on Santa Teresa, New Mexico. And this guy, 36 years old, had a background of creating explosives and having artillery with him. No statements have been released by the authorities of the United States of America of which terrorist organization he belongs to. Why they haven't released a statement? Because we have elections. You guys have elections. And if they release a statement right now of these not potential terrorists, this was a guy that it was on the terrorist watch list, a Palestinian. If they release a statement of which criminal organization or terrorist organization he belonged to, that will be a low blow on the Biden-Harris administration right now. So they are not going to say which terrorist organization he belonged to. This happened in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. Of course, we already know, me being in Israel and knowing how this was going on, we know that this guy possibly belonged to Hamas. And it is just more accurately that he belonged to Hamas, or possibly small possibilities that he belonged to Hezbollah. Why am I saying small possibilities to Hezbollah? Because Hezbollah has more of an affluential economy, and they could have paid more to smuggle him across through different pathways or different ways, like these 6 men that they were on a charter flight or a private plane. So more accurately, due into my investigations, I believe that possibly he belonged, to Hamas. But I'm just speculating. We do not know that for a fact. Of course, the government of the United States of America is not going to release that statement, because if they do, they will hit themselves on a low blow. Biden-Harris administration, and of course, Mayorkas, doesn't want to say anything about this. Why? Because they're protecting their election. If they imagine right now, if they say, well, we just caught a potential terrorist, that it was a potentialist on the potential terrorist watch list, Did he cross? Yes, he crossed. My God, we got a problem. Why? Because how many of these have, already fled? How many of these are the gotaways? How many of these have you not been detecting? So that will put you on a pedestal to say your border it's more than accurately that it's already a disaster. It's under national threat, because you have these potential terrorist people coming into your country, and, their intentions are quite, they're not quite as the normal average migrant that wants to come for a better job, that wants to come for a better life, that wants to come for a better opportunity. No, these people were on the terrorist watch list. So if they were on the terrorist watch list, their intention, it is not to just come and say, I want to work in a liquor station or I want to work in a gas station. No, 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 no. They have other intentions, and this is why you have to investigate them. But of course, the government of the United States of America has not released a statement to Omar Shaheda. I think it is his name, 34 to 36 years of age. This man that that it was stopped. Let me just read right here. It says a 35-year-old Palestinian migrant on the terror watch list was caught in the south border. So his arrest comes weeks after other Palestinians with possible ties to terror groups were caught in the San Diego sector. One of the men allegedly had a picture of a masked man holding an AK-47 on his phone. According to a report in the Post, unknown which terror groups the alleged suspects belong to. Of course, I'm just telling you, they're not going to say which terrorist organizations they belong to, because you have elections right now. And the topic of Israel in the war with Hamas in Gaza and the war with the borders with Lebanon with Hezbollah, it is quite extremely important right now in elections. So of course you're not going to say, oh, he belongs to Hamas, because if you say that, ultimately you're done. Donald Trump will take that and say, you're allowing these kind of people, and you already admitted that these people belong to these terrorist organizations. This is why I'm confirming your border is a complete disaster. Not only that you have these kind of individuals that they already been arrested, but you have people that they're paying private planes. You got people that they were paying private planes right now that they just got recently caught in the south border of Mexico, trying to board a private plane, to land in Sonora and then potentially cross to Arizona. 4 men from Egypt, 2 men from Jordan. Why are these men from Egypt and Jordan paying a private plane? I have seen Afghan migrants in the middle of the jungle, struggling, bad, with no water. Thank you so much. Terry Katz bought me 5 coffees. Thank you so much. Anonymous bought me a coffee. Buy me a coffee is right there, pinned in the chat. If you guys like to contribute, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to travel with Chuck, trying to go to Armenia, document the migration over there and the war over there that is happening on several different parts. So thank you so much. But going back to the topic, you got potential terrorists that they're just recently been caught. And then you have six men, adults, that they have paid a private plane. I have seen Afghan migrants in the middle of the jungle. Even Ben Bergman, my brother, did an incredible interview with 3 Afghans. One of them was saying, Biden is the worst. The other one was saying, Biden is your fault that, you left Afghanistan. And the last one was saying, I used to work for the United Nations. And Ben says, like, wow, you used to work for the United Nations and they did not help you? Like, no, I'm in the middle of the jungle. Look at me. These are Afghan people. I have seen people from Afghanistan migrating in the worst conditions through the jungle. Another anonymous, thank you so much for the coffee. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. But let me just tell you, now you have people on private planes arriving. Ben and I went on the Yuma border and we saw a guy. We call him the sweater guy. This guy was we saw him migrate. We saw him cross illicitly the border, because that's what it is. It was not crossing through a port of entry. I'm sorry for all the pandering and all the people like, oh my God, he's such a white supremacist. It's not. He crossed illicitly the border. That was not a port of entry. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. But this guy crossed illicitly, the border. And as this guy crossed illicitly the border, we saw this guy, and we were like, what is this guy about? He looked, foreign. He did not look European. It kind of looked, I don't know. It was not Central American, South American. It looked foreign. I don't know where. He had like Dockers on, slacks, good shoes, like a good long and ironed long sleeve shirt. And he had a sweater like he was going to a cocktail party, like tied right here, glasses, and he had a little hat, and he had his back. Like the guy was in coach. Like he was about to fly first class. And we were looking at each other. I cannot believe this, man. I was like, I cannot believe that there's people that actually I have seen no shoes, children walking for kilometers in a caravan. And you got people arriving with slacks and in a sweater tied on his neck like he's going to go to a tennis court, waiting for the border patrol like, oh my God, they're late. My God, they're late, Dorothy. What is the problem with these NGOs? I thought that we had an agreement that we're going to pick us up to take us to be released. I have an appointment at 6. Like it looked like that. Insane. And then you have this private planes. Amazing. Unbelievable. Is this, incredible? You are in a private plane. I do not, whew, isn't it crazy now? Where this global compact on migration, this United Nations situation has gotten to, where you can actually pay a private plane to fly you all the way to the north border, drop you off, pick you up, let you in, be released, and then get interviewed by a network in the United States and be like, you got a lot of these journalists on the other side of the border in the United States and going like, where are you coming from? And like, oh, I'm coming from the Middle East, and I had the most horrible trip in the most horrible way, and it was bad, and the guy just landed on a private plane. That is absolutely nuts. He can tell you that he had a horrible trip and he was politically persecuted and, and all this kind of stuff, but possibly just, he landed on a private plane. And he just told you, oh my God, I had the most horrible trip. I went through the jungle. I smuggled across, and you have to believe them. That's the thing that, that's why you have a filter. You have to have all the credentials and all the paperwork ready for you and the explanation for you to get credible evidence of fear, where the judge or the immigration officer will say, Jesus, get this case immediately over here. This is a legitimate case. Then you have private plane guy is just like, oh, it was so bad. I had to pay a private plane. It was so bad. There was no AC on the normal flight. I had to pay business class, but it was just all the people in the back were making so much noise. And there was a kid crying. Oh my God, it was so torturing. And then we arrived to Guatemala and we crossed on a private taxi. And the private taxi was not a Mercedes. So I had to rent a Dodge. Oh my God, it was so uncomfortable. Then we paid a taxi in Mexico. It was a nice one, it was a BMW, but we got stopped. Oh, we had a private plane, and we arrived to the borders of Mexico and the United States, and it was so hot. Oh my, like, you, you have to be kidding me now, right? You have to be kidding me now. Isn't it stupid? Hijo de la fregada. Aviones privados, cabrón. Tan cabrones, hijo de la. Ya hasta aviones privados pagan. Y uno acá está batallando para pagar la comida. Man, you guys are paying private planes, and over here we're having a hard time to pay for food, man. You guys paying private plane. Man, get me on this migration ticket, man. I already said it. Get me on this migration plan, man. I just want to keep on. It's a private plane, man. No podemos ni pagar ni volaris. Hijo de su madre. Oh my God. It's crazy. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. God bless you guys. Stay safe. We just arrived from covering the war in Israel a couple of weeks ago. And we just arrived over here. We're going to stay here for a couple of days. Be here for a couple of more weeks. No, a couple of days. No, a couple of more weeks. Be over here. Bless every single one of you guys. Buy me a coffee. It is right there. I will greatly appreciate if you guys contribute and donate to my independent reporting and travel fund. Thank you, and thank you. So thank you so much. Alice Restaurant said, I can't even, no, don't even worry about it, Alice Restaurant. God bless you. Thank you so much. Somebody saying, I like the haircut and the candado beard, bro. It looks good and clean. Thank you so much. Chuck Holton recommended this. It's the Chuck Holton look. Yeah, Chuck Holton. I talked to him last night. He was in Abu Dhabi. This guy, man. I tell him he travels in a portal. This guy is just he called me on video, what's up? And I'm like, where in the hell are you? And he goes like, I'm in Abu Dhabi. I'm like, you have to be kidding. You're lying. He's like, no, look at the building. I'm like, look at this gigantic building on video. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. What the hell are you doing over there? They're like, oh, I'm got to go to Armenia and I got to do this and I'm like, for God's sake, brother, what the hell's going on? I wish you can be here. I'm like, I can, brother. I got to deal with my stuff. One day I will go to Abu Dhabi with him, but it's just an unbelievable man. I admire him so much. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Follow me on all pages. Give it a like to the video on Facebook. Hit that bell button on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that like button on X. Somebody's asking how much the private plane cost. Let me just ask Google. Let's just ask Google. How much is a private plane from the south border of Mexico into the north border of Mexico? So it's Mexico charter. All right, let's just go right here. Got a few minutes. I don't want to extend more than an hour. We got 6 minutes. I think that we can do it. So we go right here, flight jet charter, Tijuana. Wow, look at this. So this is a private charter plane, private jet planes, charter face price. Wow, man. Okay. I'm going to leave open this because I'm going to do a recorded video and I am going to spread this all over the place. So this is a private jet rental. Somebody's Sending coffees. Yes, another anonymous sending coffees. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So this is a page of a charter plane. It says private jet rental cost in Mexico. How much is the cost to rent a private jet to Mexico? To Mexico. It's not in Mexico. But let's just go and say the price to book a private jet to Mexico changes daily in the on-demand charter market, but you can expect to pay an average hour 2,000 to 3,000 for turboprops, 5,500 to 6,500 for light jets, 6,500 to 8,000 to mid-size and supersized jets, and 10,000 to 15,000 for long. Well, that's basically, they're not, you know what? Looking at these costs, they're saving a lot of money on paying the cartel. I'm not being, that's how much you're going to spend. If you're paying an hour rate from 2,000 to 3,000 from the south border of Mexico into Sonora, it is like possibly 3 hours and a half. So let's say, give or take 3 hours. So if you're paying 3 hours, that's 9,000. Plus the package to get you across another 3. That's around the amount. 12 to 15,000. That's how much the amount. And then you get secured. You're not paying. You're not going on a private car. You're not going to City of Mexico. You're not getting stopped. You're not. It sounds like a strategy. Wow. Wow, man. It sounds like a good strategy, let me tell you. Instead of paying the cars, instead of paying every border, instead of paying every agent, instead of stopping, instead of paying a plane from Tapachula to City of Mexico, then get stopped at the authorities. Some of the authorities are going to be corrupt, paying them off underneath the table, then get another plane to get you over la. Yet, this will be less expensive, less hassle, less expensive, and you will have a package the whole way. Whew! Wow. Maria Figueras bought me 3 coffees. Thank you so much, Maria. Muchas gracias. Wow, man, this is absolutely nuts. This is crazy. I'm going to do an elaborated report right now in English. But somebody's asking, but who's paying it? It is the question. Well, you're asking a question that we already asked many times. And, there's a lot of speculation. Possibly it's somebody inside of the United States of America, possibly somebody outside. We don't know. NGOs, we don't know. There's different cases, because if something gets discovered and it was an NGO, everybody's going to say, they're the NGOs. Some cases they are. Some cases is the cartel. Some cases is somebody that already are waiting for them inside of the United States. We don't know. This is crazy right here. This is crazy right here. So if you get $3,000 per hour, that's 9,000, 3 hours to get you. How many hours? Let's just ask Google right here. Let's just ask Google. How many hours does it take by plane from Tapachula, Mexico to Sonora? Okay, it says right here, let's just remove how many hours, because we just said that it takes around 3 hours. So from Tapachula, I said by plane. I said by 6 ways. Let's go right here. Flights from Tapachula to airport. Flight from Navojoa. Navojoa is another airport. Yeah. So let's just go right here. 6 way to travel. Tapachula, see all options. Bus, plane. Flight to Ciudad Obregón, 9 hours. Jeez. No, it's no, it's okay, 6 hours. Apparently it says 6 hours. Let's just remove this from Tapachula. Let's just remove 5 ways. Let's just see this one. Again, it says, it doesn't say. Let's just go to another one. Cheap Polaris flights Tapachula to Hermosillo. Let's just say right here, cheap Polaris flights. Tapachula, Hermosillo rentals. This is what I thought. 3 hours and 30 minutes. That's what it says. 3 hours and 30 minutes. So it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. Almost 4 hours. Flight time. Let's just say flight time. 3 hours and 16 minutes. So it's 3 hours and 16 minutes right here. It says 3 hours and 16 minutes from Tapachula to Sonora. So that means that if you're paying $3,000 per hour on a private plane, that's $9,000 plus what you pay the Coyote to cross. That's another $2,000 to $3,000. That's $12,000. That's around the amount that these people are paying, but it's much safer. The thing that I want to point out right here, saludos, como no chinga, hombre. Say hello to my brother, mi paisano, Alden Cabello. Say hello to the best photographer and videographer and documenter. Hello, paisano. Saludos, unos taquitos. Nos vamos a echar allá en Piedras, hombre. Saludos, un abrazote. Great job you're doing, brother. So if you're paying, it's much safer. That's the only thing I got to say. Private plane, much safer. I'm going to do a report right now, finish this coffee, analyze this situation, and be like, hey, hijo de la chingada, now están pagando aviones privados. So analyze the situation, how this got out of hand, and how this got into an option, or now we have another investigation to do. That is private planes. Now we can go to the airports and say, like, hey, there's no regulation for us to ask on a private plane who's coming, because that doesn't belong to a company. So we can ask. They don't have no regulation whatsoever. So, geez, hijos de la frega, tan pesados. An hour and 3 minutes. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much. God bless you all. God bless everybody that is watching. Thank you so much for joining in. We will be elaborating an English report right now on. We'll be releasing it on X, and then later on YouTube, and then later on in Instagram. I will do it in Spanish. I will do it in English. I will take a 10-minute break, and I will come back and do this immediately, because this is incredible, man. If you go by the private cost of how much is per hour, and it's around the amount, you're talking about that Chinese migrants pay all the way from China, speculated amount between $25,000 to $35,000 to get them across. This is, I don't know how much they paid now from Jordan and from Egypt to get them all the way to Mexico, but this is migrants that they have money. This is not migrants that they do not have money. This is not your average typical migrant that is walking, that is looking for an opportunity, that is searching for food, that is asking for money on the streets, that is living out on the streets, that doesn't have no opportunity to have money. This is the economical, really financially stable individual that has the economy for you to just, flow about, get across, pay a private plane, get to the United States, and be drinking a cocktail at 12 o'clock at noon. Give me a mimosa, man. I just arrived here. I want some brunch. Amazing. Stay safe. God bless you guys. Buy me a coffee is right there. Thank you so much. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission.